In a corner of the universe, amid the whispers of the wind and the twinkling of the stars, lies an ancient text that transcends time and space. Within the pages of this mysterious text lie the teachings of a wise warrior and his divine mentor, intertwined in a cosmic dance of knowledge and truth. Welcome to the Bhagavad Gita, where the secrets of the universe are revealed to those who immerse themselves in its words. Join us on an epic journey through ancestral wisdom, where gods and mortals meet on a spiritual battlefield. Listen carefully, for in every verse there is a universe to uncover, and in every word a key that unlocks the mysteries of the human soul and its connection to the divine. Immerse yourself in the magic of the Bhagavad Gita, and let its teachings guide you towards the light of eternal understanding. Chapter 1. Arjuna's Despondency. Sanjaya said, "When my sons and the warriors of my brother met on the battlefield of life, this is what happened, O Dhritarashtra." Sanjaya continued, "O Dhritarashtra, when your son Duryodhana saw the army of the Pandavas, he went to his master in the art of war and spoke these words, 'O Acharya, behold the vast army of the Pandavas, arranged in battle formation by the son of Drupada, your own accomplished disciple. There are heroic warriors and mighty archers, equal in battle to Bhima and Arjuna. There are the valiant Yuyudhana, Virata, and Drupada, wielding powerful bows. There is also the great chariot warrior Drishtadyumna and the mighty sons of Draupadi, all ready for battle. King Drishtaketu, Chekitana, and the brave king of Kasi, Purujit, are also there, along with the heroic Karna and many other warriors. Our forces, commanded by Bhishma, seem limited compared to the countless warriors led by Bhima. They all stand firm on the battlefield, ready to defend our leader. Then, the glorious and elderly warrior Bhishma, to encourage Duryodhana, roared like a lion and blew his conch shell, and at once a tumultuous sound of drums, timbrels, trumpets, and horns filled the sky, responding to his challenge. Krishna, the commander, and Arjuna, the son of Pandu, standing on their glorious chariot drawn by white horses, also blew their divine conch shells. Krishna, the lord of the soul, blew his conch shell called Panchajanya, and Arjuna, the conqueror of wealth, blew his conch shell Devadatta. Bhima, the mighty warrior, blew his conch shell called Poundra, and Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, blew his conch shell called Anantavijaya. Nakula and Sahadeva blew their conch shells, Sughosha and Manipushpaka, and the king of Kasi, Sikandi, and the powerful archer, Drishtadyumna and Virata, and Satyaki, and the great chariot warriors, Drupada, and the sons of Draupadi, all blew their conch shells. And from all sides the sounds of conch shells echoed, filling the heavens and the earth. Amidst such terrifying tumult, the heavens and the earth resounded, causing the hearts of Dhritarashtra and his warriors to tremble. Then Arjuna, whose banner bore the symbol of the monkey, surveyed the Pandava forces and his own warriors lined up for battle. Seeing the projectiles flying, he took up his bow and spoke to Krishna, saying, "Krishna, drive my chariot and place it between the two armies, so that I may observe those eager for battle against whom I must fight at the outset of this war. Let me see those gathered here, ready for battle, eager to fulfill the will of the wicked son of Dhritarashtra." Sanjaya said, having heard Arjuna's words, Krishna drove his glorious chariot and positioned it between the two armies, facing Bhishma and Drona, as well as other royal rulers. He said, "Behold, O Arjuna, the armies of the Kurus gathered here on this battlefield." Arjuna then saw his own kinsmen, friends, and teachers in both armies. Seeing his own relatives lined up on both sides of the battlefield, he was overwhelmed with sorrow and despair. He spoke with a heavy heart, saying, "My limbs fail me, my mouth is parched, my body trembles, and my hair stands on end. My mighty bow, Gandiva, slips from my hand, and my skin burns. I cannot remain standing, for my mind reels. I foresee no good from killing my own kinsmen in battle. I do not desire victory, O Krishna, nor kingdom or pleasures. What joy will we find in their death? We shall incur sin if we slay these evil men. How can we, seeing the evil in such destruction, justify such a terrible deed? The destruction of a family destroys its traditions, and with the loss of tradition, the family is overtaken by degradation. And when impropriety prevails, women transgress and become corrupt. And when women become corrupt, O Vrishni, the outcome is the confusion of castes. Social disorder leads to hell for both the family and those who cause its destruction, and the spirits of ancestors suffer when deprived of their ritual offerings. These sinful actions of those who ruin a family, causing such social disorder, destroy the integrity of birth and the integrity of ancestral rites. Have we not heard it said that hell awaits those whose family rites lose their integrity? What evil spirit drove our minds when, for the sake of an earthly kingdom, we came to this battlefield ready to kill our own kin? How much better it would be for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, armed with weapons, were to find me unarmed and defenseless and kill me in the heat of battle, said Sanjaya. Thus spoke Arjuna on the battlefield, and dropping his bow and arrows, he slumped down in his chariot, overwhelmed with grief and despair. Chapter 2. Illusion and Death, says Sanjaya. Then the spirit of Krishna spoke to Arjuna, his friend, who with tear-filled eyes had sunk into despair and sorrow. Krishna said, "Why this dejection, Arjuna, at this critical moment? Brave men do not yield to despair, for it brings neither heaven nor earth. Do not sink into this degrading weakness, unworthy of any self-respecting man. Cast off this ignoble despondency and arise. I have come to dispel the darkness of ignorance and lift you up. Stand up and fight. The fire that consumes all it touches burns within you." Arjuna replied with reverence, "O Madhusudana, should I with my arrows kill my grandfather's great friend Bhishma in battle? Should I kill my revered teachers? Though they are greedy for my kingdom, they are still my sacred instructors. I would rather live as a beggar than partake of royal feasts tainted with their blood. Moreover, we know not whether it will be better for us if they win or we do. Here stand the sons of my uncle Dhritarashtra. After their death we would wish to live. I feel desolation in the dark night of my soul, and self-pity does not show me the path of righteousness. You are my disciple, my sharp student. Be my guiding light on the path of duty. For neither kingdom on earth nor in heaven can quench the fire of sorrow that engulfs my life." Having thus poured out his heart, the great warrior Arjuna said to Krishna, "I will not fight, O Govinda," and fell silent. Then Krishna, smiling, raised his voice between the two armies and spoke to him. Krishna said, "You weep for those beyond tears. Your words are wise, for the wise do not mourn the living or the dead. Life and death are fleeting, as we have all existed at all times. I, you, and these kings of men have always been and will always be. Just as the soul passes through childhood, youth, and old age, so too does the spirit enter a new body. The wise man is not troubled by this, for his soul transcends pleasure and pain. He is worthy of eternal life. The real is never destroyed. It is seen by those who perceive the true, pervading all creation. The spirit is beyond destruction, for it dwells within these bodies beyond time. Though bodies may meet their end, he remains immeasurable, eternal. Therefore proceed, O Bharata, with your struggle. He who thinks he kills and he who thinks he is killed does not understand how truth acts. The eternal within man cannot kill, nor can it ever be killed. It is never born, never dies. It exists for eternity, uncreated, immutable, beyond past or future time. It does not succumb when the body perishes. When a man knows himself to be uncreated, enduring, immutable, and beyond all destruction, how can he kill or cause another to kill? Just as a person discards worn-out clothes and wears new ones, the spirit discards its mortal body to put on a new one. Weapons do not pierce the spirit, fire does not burn it, water does not wet it, wind does not dry it. Beyond the power of sword and fire, water and wind, the spirit is eternal, omnipresent, unchangeable, and immutable. It is always one, invisible to human eyes, beyond thought and change. Knowing this, Arjuna, curb your sorrow. Even if it were to be born and die again and again, still you must fulfill your duty. For everything that is born must die, and from death comes life. Face what must be and put an end to your sorrow. All beings are invisible before birth and become visible after death. They are seen and unseen. Knowing this, what cause is there for lamentation? Some behold the wonder and speak of it. Others hear of it, yet none truly knows it. The immortal spirit dwelling in all beings manifests in all. Therefore, cease lamenting for what cannot die. Think also of your duty and do not waver. There is no greater good for a warrior than to fight in a just battle. There is a war that leads to heaven. Blessed are those whose destiny is to fight in such a war. To refrain from fighting for what is right is to renounce one's duty and honor. It is to fall into transgression. Great warriors will speak of your fear-driven flight from battle, and those who held you in high esteem will speak of you with disdain. Your enemies will speak ill of you, pouring scorn on your valor. Can there be a fate more shameful for a warrior? Death will give you glory in heaven, victory, glory on earth. Therefore, rise, O son of Kunti, with a soul ready to fight. Prepare for battle with peace in your soul. Remain peaceful in pleasure and pain, in victory and defeat. In such peace, there is no sin. This is the wisdom of the saints, the vision of the eternal. Listen now to the wisdom of yoga, the guide to the eternal and liberation from bondage in this life. No step is false on this path, and there are no lurking dangers. Even the smallest progress is a release from fear. He who follows this path has but one thought, and that is the end of his determination. Many are the endless branches in man's thoughts. Lacking determination, men of vision follow the Vedas to the letter and say, "This is all there is." Their souls are perverted by personal desires, and their heaven consists of selfish desire. They pray to find pleasure and power, and the reward for all this is rebirth on earth. Those who love pleasure and power listen and follow their words, lacking the determination needed to be one with the 1, 2, 3, the building blocks of the world of the Vedas, until above the three is installed the eternal truth, beyond earthly opposites, beyond gains and possessions. Become the possessor of your own soul, as a well denies all Vedas to the knower of the Supreme. Set your mind on action, not on reward. Act without thinking of retribution, but do not waver in the performance of your duty. Perform your work in the peace of yoga and free from selfish desires. Do not let success or failure disturb you. In yoga, there is mental equanimity, a peace that remains ever the same. Action performed with the motive of reward is greatly inferior to action performed in the yoga of wisdom. Seek salvation in the knowledge of reason. How poor are those who act for reward. Established in knowledge, a man transcends good and evil. Therefore, direct your steps towards wisdom, for yoga is knowledge in action. Those who have seen and joined with wisdom renounce the fruits of their actions and, free from the bonds of birth, set their steps towards the abode of salvation. When your mind leaves behind the dark forest of deception and illusion, having transcended the scriptures of past and future times, when your mind, perhaps wavering amidst the contradictions of many scriptures, remains unshaken and established in divine contemplation, then you have made the goal of yoga your own. Such is the man of that tranquil time who dwells in divine contemplation. What are his words? What is his silence? What are his deeds? When a man abandons all desires that flow into his heart, and by grace finds the joy of God, then his soul truly finds peace. He whose mind is not disturbed by sorrows and feels no craving for pleasure, he who has conquered passion, fear, and anger, such a one is a sage of steady mind. He who is everywhere free from attachment, who does not rejoice or grieve when fortune smiles or frowns, possesses serene wisdom. When, in the stillness of recollection, like a tortoise withdrawing its limbs, he withdraws his senses from the attraction of pleasures, then his is serene wisdom. The pleasures of the senses, but not the desires, vanish from the austere soul, and even desires disappear when the soul has seen the Supreme. The restless violence of the senses drags even the mind of the wise man who strives for perfection. Therefore he must gather them into the harmony of recollection, and, seated in union and devotion, let his soul find rest in me. For when the senses are in harmony, his is serene wisdom. When a man dwells on the pleasures of the senses, attraction for them arises in him. From attraction arises desire, the craving for possession, and this leads to passion, to anger. From passion comes confusion of mind, then loss of remembrance, the forgetting of duty. From this loss comes ruin of reason, and the ruin of reason leads man to destruction. But the soul that moves in the world of the senses, yet keeps the senses in harmony, is free from attraction and aversion, finds rest in stillness. In such stillness sorrow is dissolved, for when the heart finds stillness, wisdom finds peace. There is no wisdom for a man without harmony, and without harmony there is no contemplation. Without contemplation there can be no peace, and without peace can there be happiness. For when the mind is bound to a passion of the fleeting senses, that passion drags with it the man's wisdom, as the wind drags a boat upon the waves. Therefore the man who in recollection withdraws his senses from the pleasures of the senses possesses serene wisdom. In the midst of the dark night of all beings, the tranquil man awakes to light, and what to other beings is day, to the wise man who sees is night. And like the ocean, which even while receiving all waters is not disturbed by them, so also the wise man feels desires, yet is always one in his infinite peace. For he who renounces all desire and gives up all pride of possession and personal importance reaches the goal of supreme peace. This is the eternal in man. Once attained, all illusion vanishes. Even in the last hour of his life on earth, a man may attain the nirvana of Brahma. Peace is found in the peace of God. Chapter 3. Action. Arjuna said, "If you believe that insight is superior to action, then why do you urge me to this terrible action of war? My mind is confused by your words, for I find contradictions in them. Tell me with certainty the one path by which I may attain the supreme." Krishna replied, "O sinless one, in this world there are two paths to perfection, as I have told you before. The path of knowledge for the contemplatives, and the path of action for the yogis. No one can remain actionless even for a moment. All are helplessly driven to action by the forces born of nature. One who abstains from action, yet continues to dwell on the pleasures of action, deceives himself, and is considered a hypocrite. On the other hand, the one who, free from attachment and with a mind ruling over its powers, acts in the path of karma yoga, the path of dedicated action, is superior. Action is superior to inaction. Therefore, perform your duty in life. Not even the life of the body could be sustained without action. The world is bound by action unless it is performed as a sacrifice. Therefore, let your actions be pure and free from the bonds of desire. Thus spoke the Lord of creation when he created man, saying, "By sacrifice you shall obtain all your desires. By sacrifice you shall honor the gods, and thus shall they love you. In harmony with the gods, you shall attain the highest good. For pleased with your sacrifice, the gods shall grant you all your desires. Only the thief enjoys the gifts without offering them in sacrifice. The righteous men who eat of the remnants of the sacrifice are freed from all sins. But those who prepare food for themselves alone, without offering it in sacrifice, eat sin." Food is the life of all beings, and this food comes from the rain, which is a result of sacrifice. Sacrifice is the sacred action described in the Vedas, and these Vedas come from the eternal, and thus the eternal is always present in sacrifice. In this way, the wheel of the law was set in motion, and any man who, through a life of pleasure and sin, does not contribute to its motion, lives in vain. However, the man who finds joy in the Spirit and in the Spirit finds his bliss, who has found peace in the Spirit, he is above the law of action. He is beyond what is done and what is not done, and in all his works, he is beyond the aid of mortal beings, free from the bonds of attachment. Therefore carry out the work that must be done, for the man whose work is pure truly reaches the supreme. King Janaka and other warriors attained perfection through the path of action. Let the welfare of all be your primary goal, thus fulfilling your duty in life. In the actions of excellent men, others find their model of action. The path followed by a great man becomes a guide for the world. I have no work to accomplish in the three worlds, for they are already mine. I have nothing to gain because I already possess everything. Yet, if I were not devoted to action tirelessly, men would follow my example and cease from action. If my work were ever to cease, these worlds would perish amidst destruction, and confusion would engulf all. It would be the death of all beings. Though the ignorant act selfishly, killing in selfish actions, the wise act selflessly for the good of the world. But let not the wise man, engaged in selfless work, have the mind of the ignorant who work selfishly. Let his devoted work show others the joy of right action. All forms of action are carried out in time by the interaction of the forces of nature, yet the deluded man lost in selfish illusions thinks that he is the one who acts. On the other hand, the man who understands the relationship between the forces of nature and actions sees how they operate on other forces of nature and does not become their slave. Those who are under the delusion of the forces of nature bind themselves to the action of these forces. The wise who sees the whole should not disturb the ignorant who does not see the whole. Offer all your actions to me and set your mind on the Supreme. Free yourself from vain hopes and selfish thoughts and carry out your struggle from inner peace. Those who follow my doctrine and have faith and goodwill find their liberation through pure action. But those who do not follow my doctrine and show ill will are blind men to all wisdom, confused of mind, lost. Even the wise man acts under the impulses of nature. All beings follow the nature. What good is it to try to suppress hatred and ambition for things arising from nature? For they have their roots in man's basest nature. Therefore let the wise man avoid falling under their power. They are the two enemies encountered by man on his way. Fulfill your duty, however humble, instead of performing another's duty, however great. To die performing one's own duty is life. To live performing another's duty is death. Krishna said, "Desire and anger born of passion are the greatest evils, sum of destruction, the enemy of the soul. All is clouded by desire, as fire by smoke, as a mirror by dust, as a fetus by its womb. Wisdom is clouded by desire, constant enemy of the wise, desire in its myriad forms, which, like a fire, knows no satisfaction. Desire has found a place in the senses, the mind, and the reason of man. Through these, it blinds the soul. Once wisdom is clouded, thus harmonize your senses and kill the sinful desire that destroys vision and wisdom. The senses are said to be powerful, but greater than the senses is the mind. Greater than the mind is the intellect, and greater than the intellect is the soul which is in man and in all. Know therefore that he who is beyond reason, and let his peace bring you peace. Be a warrior and kill desire, the powerful enemy of the soul." Chapter 4. Wisdom. Krishna said, "I revealed this imperishable yoga to Vivasvan, the sun god, father of light, who in turn revealed it to Manu, his son, father of man, and Manu taught it to his son, King Ikshvaku. Thus it was handed down from fathers to sons in the succession of saints who were kings, but the doctrine was forgotten by men in the course of time. Today, I reveal to you this eternal yoga, this supreme secret, because of your love for me and because I am your friend." Arjuna said, "Your birth was later than that of the sun. How then can you speak of revealing this yoga to Vivasvan in the beginning?" Krishna replied, "Many times I have been born and so have you, but I remember my past lives, whereas you have forgotten yours. Though unborn and eternal Lord of all, I come to my realm of nature, and by my own power, I am born when righteousness declines and wickedness prevails. Then my spirit arises on earth for the salvation of those who are good, for the destruction of evil in man, for the fulfillment of the kingdom of righteousness. I come to this world age after age. Whoever knows my birth as God and knows my sacrifice, when he leaves his mortal body, he ceases from death, for he comes to me. All who have ever come to me have trusted in me, filled with my spirit, at peace with passions, fears, and anger, purified by the fire of wisdom. As many as there are who come to me, so are they loved by me. There are many paths for men, but all end up coming to me. Those who covet premature power offer sacrifice to the gods of the earth, for in this world of men, success and power are a direct result of action. The four orders of men originated from me, according to their natures and deeds. Know that all this is my doing. While I am beyond action, I appear eternally free amidst the bonds of deeds because in them I am free from all desire. The man who can see this truth finds freedom in action. This was known by the men of old who thus attained liberation amidst their acts. Therefore, fulfill your duty in life with the same spirit with which they carried out their work. What is the action behind the action? Even seers perceive this clearly. I will teach you the truth of pure action, and this truth will set you free. Therefore know what action is, and know thus yourself what erroneous action is. Also know of an action that is silence. Mysterious is the path of action. The man who in his performance finds silence, and who sees that silence in that performance, that man truly sees the light and finds peace in all his works. One whose endeavors are free from anxious desire and capricious thought, whose action becomes pure in the fire of wisdom, is called wise by those who see in any work he performs such a name. He is at peace, expects nothing, depends on nothing, yet always possesses the fullness of bliss, devoid of vain desires. He is the master of his soul, giving up all he has. It is only his body that acts. Such a man is free from sin, content with what God gives him, and has overcome these two opposites, free from envy. He is the same in success as in failure. His actions do not bind him. He has attained liberation, free from all bondage. His mind has found peace in wisdom, and his action is a holy sacrifice. Pure is the action of such a man. All his actions see God. He indeed goes to God. God is his worship. God is his offering offered by God in the fire of God. There are those whose sacrifice is an offering to the gods. Others, however, offer their own soul as a sacrifice in the fire of God. There are those who abandon their senses in darkness to the fire of inner harmony. Others abandon their external light to the fire of the senses. Some offer their vital breath and life powers to the fire of an illuminated inner union. And others, faithful to austere vows, offer their wealth as sacrifice, or their penance, or their yoga practice, or their sacred studies, or their knowledge. Some surrender their aspiration to the flow of incoming air and the inspiration to the outgoing breath. Their goal is the great flame, the harmony of breathing, and the flow of their breath is in peace. Still others, through the practice of abstinence, offer their lives to life. They all know what sacrifice is, and through sacrifice they purify their sins. Neither this world nor the world to come is for one who makes no sacrifice. But those who enjoy the remnants of sacrifice, the Brahmins, learn that all sacrifice is sacred action, and knowing this you will be free. However, greater than any earthly sacrifice is the sacrifice of sacred wisdom. For wisdom is the end of all sacred action. Those who have seen the truth for themselves can be your teachers of wisdom. Ask them, serve them as a son. Once you possess wisdom, you will never be confused again, for you will see all things in your heart, and you will see your heart established in me. And even if you were the greatest of sinners, with the help of the skiff of wisdom, you would cross the sea of evil like the burning fire reduces all its fuel to ashes. So the fire of eternal wisdom reduces all works to ashes, because nothing makes us purer on this earth than wisdom. The man who lives in harmony of being discovers this truth in his soul. He who has faith has wisdom. He who lives in harmony of being, whose faith is his life and finds wisdom, soon finds supreme peace. But he who has no faith in wisdom, whose soul is shrouded in doubts, is lost, for neither this world nor the world to come, nor bliss is ever, for the man shrouded in doubts. He who purifies his works through yoga, who watches over his soul, who by the wisdom destroys his doubts, is free from the bonds of selfish action. Thus, uproot with the sword of wisdom the doubt born of ignorance that dwells in your heart, safe in the harmony of being in yoga, and rise above sorrow. Chapter 5. Renunciation. Krishna says, "There is indeed, O Arjuna, renunciation and also the yoga of sacred action. Between these two, tell me truly which is the higher path." Krishna continues, "Both renunciation and the yoga of sacred action lead to the supreme. However, better than the abandonment of action is the yoga of sacred action. Know that a man who truly renounces is one who neither desires nor hates. for one who is beyond the two opposites soon finds liberation. Ignorant men, but not the wise, affirm that renunciation and yoga are different paths. However, one who devotes himself wholeheartedly to one attains the end of both, for the victory achieved by the man of knowledge is also won by the man of right action. Certainly, O Arjuna, the man who perceives that seeing and doing are the same thing finds truth. However, renunciation, O Arjuna, is hard to attain without the yoga of sacred action. When the wise man is one with yoga, he is one with God. There is no action that taints the man who is pure, who is in harmony, who is master of his life, and whose soul is one with the soul of all. He performs no action, thinks the man who is in harmony and sees the truth. For in seeing, hearing, smelling, touching, eating, walking, sleeping, breathing, talking, grasping, opening or closing his eyes, he remembers they are servants of his soul who act. Offer all your actions to God, renounce all selfish attachments, and perform your acts. No sin can stain you, just as waters do not stain the lotus leaf. The yogi acts for the purification of the soul, renounces selfish attachment, and thus only his body, senses or mind, or his reason act. This man in harmony gives up the fruit of his action and thus attains final peace. The man in disharmony, hindered by desire, is attached to the fruits and remains bound. He who controls his soul abandons all action to his mind, sitting in the bliss of stillness of the castle of the 9 gates of his body. He does no selfish actions, nor is he a cause for others to perform them. The Lord of the world is above the acts and operations of the world, as well as the result of such acts. The action of nature follows its course, but bad and good actions of men are not her work. Wisdom is obscured by unconsciousness, and this leads them adrift. However, for those whose ignorance is purified by the wisdom of the inner spirit, it acts like the sun, and in its radiance they see the Supreme. With their thought in him and being one with him, they dwell in him, and he is the end of their journey. They reach the land of no return because their wisdom has purified them from sin. They contemplate with the same equanimous and loving spirit an ignorant and holy Brahmin, a cow, an elephant, a dog, or even a man who feeds on dogs. Those who always keep their minds serene attain victory in life in this world. God is pure and always one, and they are one in God. The man who sees Brahman dwells in Brahman. His reason is firm, free from all delusion. When pleasure arises, it does not affect him, nor is he agitated when pain comes from external objects, and he finds contentment within. His soul is female, beloved, and he attains eternal bliss. For pleasures from the world bring future sorrows. They come and go. They are transient. It is not in them that the wise man finds his joy. However, he who endures the storms of desire and anger on this earth before his departure, that man is a yogi. That man possesses inner joy, inner contentment, and has found inner light. That yogi reaches the nirvana of Brahman. He is one with God and attains peace. The holy men reach in my sister Devaki. Their sins vanish, their doubts are dispelled, their soul is in harmony, their joy is in the goodness of all, for the peace of God is with those whose mind and soul are in harmony, free from desires. When the sage of silence, the Muni, closes the gates of his soul, and fixing his inner gaze between his brows, maintains in peace and stability the ebb and flow of his breath, and thus with life, mind, and reason in harmony, dispels desire, fear, and anger, he bows his soul before the final liberation. Indeed, he has reached the ultimate liberation. He knows me, the God of the worlds who accepts men's offerings, the friend of all. He knows me and attains peace. Chapter 6. Meditation. Krishna says, "He who acts not for a terrestrial reward but in fulfillment of the action that is to be done, he is a sannyasi and also a yogi, and not he who kindles not the sacred fire, nor performs the holy sacrifice. For the sannyasi indeed renounces. He is also the yogi of sacred action, and no man can be a yogi who has not abandoned his earthly will. When the sage climbs the heights of yoga, he follows the path of action, but when he finally reaches the summits of yoga, He is on the earth of peace and reaches the peaks of yoga when he abandons his earthly will, when he is not bound by the action of his senses, nor by his works on earth. Therefore, rise up and, with the help of your spirit, elevate your soul. Do not let it decline, for your soul can be your friend, but also your enemy. The soul of man is his friend when, by the Spirit, he has conquered it. But when a man is not master of his soul, then it becomes his own enemy. When his soul is at peace, he is at peace, and then his soul is in God, in cold or heat, in pleasure or pain, in glory or misfortune, he is always in him. When happy with vision and wisdom, the sage is master of his own inner life, his sublime soul established on high, then he is called yogi in harmony. For him, gold, stones, or earth are all the same. He has risen to the heights of his soul, and in peace he contemplates his family, companions, and friends, the impartial or indifferent, or those who negotiate. He sees them all with the same inner peace. Cultivate the self. Day by day, the harmony of the soul in a secluded place, in deep solitude, master of your mind without expecting anything, without desiring anything, find a pure place and a stable seat, neither too high nor too low, covered with sacred grass, a skin, and a cloth above as desired. Sit on that seat and practice yoga for the purification of the soul. With the life of your body and mind at peace, your soul in silence before the One, with the body, head, and neck erect, installed straight and immovable, the inward gaze untroubled, settled and fixed between the brows, with the soul at peace, banished all fear, firmly established in his vow of holiness, remain with the mind in harmony, and your soul directed towards me, your supreme God. The yogi who, master of his mind, now in continuous mental harmony of the soul, obtains the peace of my sister, the supreme peace that is in me. Yoga is harmony. It is not for him who eats in excess, nor for him who eats little, nor for him who sleeps little, nor for him who sleeps too much. Harmony in food and rest, in sleep and wakefulness, perfection in all one does, that is the yoga that provides peace in the face of pain. When the mind of the yogi is in harmony and finds rest in the spirit that resides within, with all disturbing desires banished, then he is a yogi, one in God. Then his soul is a lamp whose light is firm, for it burns sheltered from all wind. When the mind settles into the stillness of yoga prayer and, by the grace of the Spirit, sees the Spirit and in its fullness, then the devotee knows the joy of eternity, a vision perceived by reason far beyond what the senses can perceive. There within he dwells and does not depart from the truth. He has found joy and truth, a supreme vision for him. In this union of yoga, there is freedom, a liberation from the oppression of pain. This yoga must be followed with faith, with a strong and brave heart. When all desires are appeased, and the mind retreating inward gathers the multiple wandering senses into the harmony of memory, then with reason armed with resolution and the devotee, his mind at peace turned inward towards the Spirit, silencing thus all his thoughts, and whenever the unstable and restless mind strays away from the Spirit, bringing it back again and again, this is how supreme bliss comes to the yogi whose heart is firm, whose passions have been appeased, who is clean of sin, and is one with Brahman, with God. The yogi who, clean of sin, now at all times in this harmony of the soul, soon feels the joy of eternity, the infinite bliss of union with God. He sees himself in the heart of all beings and all beings in his heart. That's the vision the yogi has of harmony, a vision that always unites when he sees me in everything and everything in me. Then he never leaves me and I never abandon him. He who loves me in this unity of love, in everything he sees, wherever he lives, truly lives in me. And the greatest of yogis is the one whose vision is always one when the pleasure and pain of others are his own pleasure and pain. Krishna says, "You have spoken to me, Madhusudana, of a yoga in constant unity, of a communion that is always one. But the mind is fickle. It cannot find rest amidst its turmoil. The mind, O Krishna, is restless, impetuous, stubborn, difficult to tame. Mastering the mind seems as hard as subduing the stormy winds. Krishna replies, "Indeed, son of Kunti, the mind is restless and truly hard to train. However, through practice and liberation from passions, undoubtedly the mind can be subdued. When the mind is not harmonized, this divine communion is difficult to achieve. But the man whose mind is in harmony, if he is a wise one, he achieves it. And if a man strives and fails to achieve the goal of yoga because his mind is not in yoga, and yet that man has faith, what is his fate, O Krishna? Does he, wandering between heaven and earth, fade away among the aimless winds like a cloud in the air, not having found the path of God? Enlighten my darkness, O Krishna, dispel my doubt with a light, for who but you can dissipate this doubt? Krishna responds, "Neither in this world nor in the next does that man perish, for he who does good, my son, never walks the path of death. He dwells for years and numbers in the heaven of those who did good, and then that man who did not attain yoga is born again in the house of good and prosperous people. It is even possible that he is born into a family of yogis where the wisdom of yoga shines, but to be born into such a family rarely happens in this world. Thus begins his new life with the knowledge of a previous life, and he starts anew, always striving forward towards perfection, for his previous aspiration and effort irresistibly lead him forward. And even he who simply aspires to yoga goes beyond what is written in the books. Thus, the diligent yogi, with a soul free from sin, reaches perfection through many lives and reaches the supreme end. Be therefore a yogi, for the yogi goes beyond those who follow the path of austerity, wisdom, or action. And among all yogis, the greatest is the one who is filled with faith in his heart and loves me with all his soul." Chapter 7. Discernment. Krishna says, "Listen now, O Partha, how you will have full vision of me. If your heart is rooted in me and striving to attain yoga, I become your supreme refuge. I will fully explain to you that wisdom and that vision, which once known, leaves no need for any other knowledge. Among thousands of men it is possible that one may strive for perfection, and among the thousands who strive, it is possible that one truly knows me. 8 are the visible forms of my nature: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, reason, and the sense of self. But beyond my visible nature is my invisible spirit. That is the source of life from which this universe takes its being. All things have their life in this life, with me as their beginning and end. Nothing in this vast universe is superior to me. All worlds rest in me like many pearls strung on a thread. I am the taste of living waters and the light of the sun and moon. I am the sacred word of the Vedas, sound in silence and heroism in men. I am the pure fragrance that emanates from the earth and the radiance of fire. I am life in all living beings and the austere existence of those who discipline their souls. And I am forever the seed of eternal life. I am the intelligence of the intelligent, the beauty of the beautiful. I am the power of the strong when free from passions and selfish desires. I am desire. When it is pure, when it is not opposed, acts justly, and knows that the 3 Gunas, the 3 states of the soul, proceed from me: the peaceful light, the agitated life, and the inert darkness. Yet I am not in them. They are in me. The whole world is under the illusion of these 3 shadows of the soul, not knowing me, though I am always difficult to traverse, hidden behind a mysterious cloud of appearance. But those who truly come to me cross the world of shadows. The men who do evil, their souls are obscured by illusion, their vision veiled by the cloud of appearance. Their hearts have chosen the path of evil. There are 4 types of men, no more, and all 4 love me. The man of pain seeks knowledge, pursues something valuable, and the man of vision, of all of them. The greatest is the man of vision who is always one and who loves the one. For I love the man of vision, and the man of vision loves me. These 4 types of men are good, but the man of vision and I are one. His whole soul is one in me, and I am his supreme guide. At the end of many lives, the man of vision comes to me. God is all, says this great man. How rare to find is such a sublime soul. The men whose desires have clouded their vision worship other gods, and driven by their selfish nature, follow many other paths. But if a man desires with faith to worship this or that god, I give him faith, a faith that is firm and unshakable. And when this man, full of faith, worships that god, he obtains from him what he desires. But all that is good comes from me. These, however, are men of little knowledge, and the good they pursue has an end. The worshippers of the gods go to the gods, but those who love me come to me. The ignorant think that I am that form of my lower nature which is seen by mortal eyes. They are unaware of my higher, imperishable and supreme nature, for my glory is not seen by all. I am hidden by my veil of mystery, and in their illusion the world does not know me. Never born, and forever I am. There is no one who truly knows all that was, is, and is to be. Yet to me no one truly knows. All beings are born in the illusion of division, arising from desire and sloth. But there are men who do what is right, and whose sins come to an end. They are free from the illusion of division, and they worship me with all their soul. For those who take refuge in me and strive to free themselves from age and death, they know Brahman, they know and love me, and they know what karma is. They recognize me on earth and in heaven, as well as in the fire of sacrifice. Their souls are pure in harmony, and they see me even at the hour of their departure. Chapter 8. The Supreme. Krishna says, there is one that is Brahman, which is Aman, and which is Karma, or the Supreme Spirit. What is the realm of the earth, and what is the realm of light? Who offers the sacrifice in the body? How is the offering made? And once they reach the hour, how do those whose souls are in harmony know you? Krishna answers, Brahman is the Supreme, the Eternal. Atman is his spirit in man. Karma is the creative force from which the life of all things proceeds. Matter is the realm of the earth, which perishes with time, but the spirit is the realm of light. In this body I offer the sacrifice of my body, and he who, at the end of his days, forsakes his body, thinking of me, truly comes to me. Indeed, he comes to me, for truly one goes to him in whom he thinks in the last moment of life. By sympathy with his nature, thus he thinks of me at all times, trusts in your memory, and struggles, and with your mind and your reason set on me, truly you will come to me. For if a man thinks of the Supreme Spirit with a steadfast mind, and is not restless because he has been exercised in yoga, he goes to that spirit of light. He who has in mind the poet, the creator, who governs all things from all time, smaller than the smallest atom, but sustainer of this vast universe that shines like the sun, beyond the darkness, far beyond all human thought, at the time of his departure is in the union of love and in possession of the power of yoga, maintaining with his mind and breath the force of his life between his brows. He goes to that Supreme Spirit, to the Supreme Spirit of light. Learn now about Sabda, which the seers of the Vedas call the eternal and which is attained by those who pacify the earthly passions, lead a life of holiness, and strive for perfection. If a man, when leaving his earthly body, is silent in the yoga and closing the doors of the soul, keeps his mind in his heart, placing in the head the breath of life, and remembering me, utters the sound of the eternal word of Brahman, he goes to the supreme path. Those who in the devotion of yoga set their soul in me at all times soon come to me, and when those sublime spirits are in me, the abode of supreme joy, they never return again to this world of human sorrow, for all worlds perish, even the world of Brahma, the Creator, and return. But he who comes to me no more goes from death to death. Those who know that the vast day of Brahma, the god of creation, lasts forever 1,000 ages, they truly know the day and the night. When that day comes, all visible creation arises from the invisible, and all creation disappears. In the invisible, when the night of darkness comes, thus all beings of countless ages perish without remedy. When the night of light and day again returns, but beyond this visible and invisible creation, there is a higher invisible, and when things seem, this remains forever. This invisible is called the imperishable, and it is the highest supreme end. Those who reach it never return. That is my supreme abode. There is a time of light when yogis go to eternal life, and a time of darkness when they return to life on earth. If they depart in the midst of the flame of the light of day, of the bright weeks of the moon, and of the months when the light of the sun increases, those who know Brahman go to Brahman. But if they depart in the midst of the smoke of the night, of the dark weeks of the moon, and of the months when the sun decreases, they enter into the lunar light and return to the world of death. Such are the two paths existing forever, the path of light and the path of darkness. One leads to the land of no return, the other returns to suffering. The yogi who knows these two paths never more lives in deception. Therefore, always be in yoga or fasting. There is a reward that comes from the Vedas, or from the sacrifice, derived from a life of austerity or from sacred gifts, but a much higher reward is attained by the yogi who knows the truth of light and darkness. He reaches his lasting home. Chapter 9. Devotion and Dedication. Krishna says, I will reveal to you a supreme mystery, because your soul has faith, vision, and wisdom, and once you know it, you will find yourself free from sin. It is the highest mystery and wisdom of the supreme purification, perceived in a wonderful vision. It constitutes a path of righteousness very easy to follow and leads to the highest end. However, those who do not have faith in this truth do not come to me. They return to cycles of life amidst death. All this visible universe proceeds from my invisible being. All beings have their seat in me, but I do not have my seat in them. Yet indeed, they do not rest in me. Meditate on this, my sacred mystery. I am the source of all beings. I sustain them, yet I do not dwell in them. Just as even the mighty winds have their seat in the vastness of the aerial space, so too all beings find their seat in me. Knowing this truth, at the end of the night of time, all things return to my nature, and when the new day of time begins, I bring them back to life. Thus, through my nature, I bring forth all creation, and it revolves in the cycles of time. Yet I am not bound by this vast work of creation. I am and behold the drama of actions. I behold, and in its creative labor, nature produces all that moves and all that is immobile. And thus the world revolves and turns, but the fools of the world do not recognize me, seeing me in the human form that is my own. They do not recognize my supreme spirit, the infinite God. Humane is their hope, human are their acts, human is their learning, and vain are their thoughts. They descend into the nature of demons, into darkness and the delusion of hell. However, there are exceptional souls who recognize me, and it is the divine nature that is inherent in them. They worship me with unity of love. They know that I am the origin of all. They revere me with devotion. They speak of me through the ages. Strong are their vows, one is their harmony. They worship me with all their love. Others worship me and act for me with the sacrifice of spiritual insight. They worship me as the one and the multiple, because they see that everything is in me. For I am the sacrifice and the offering. I am the oblation and the healing remedy. I am the divine word, the holy food, the sacred fire. I am the offering made in the fire. I am the father of this universe, and yet the source of the Father. I am the mother of this universe and the creator of all. I am the highest to be known, the path of purification, the sacred Om. You will see the three Vedas. I am the way and the master who silently observes you, your friend and refuge, your dwelling of peace. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all things, their seed of eternity, their supreme treasure. The warmth of the sun comes from me, and I send and withhold the rain. I am the immortal life and death. I am what is and what is not. There are those who know the three Vedas, drink the Soma, and show themselves clean of sin. They make worship and prayer to go to heaven, and indeed reach the heaven of Indra, the king of the gods, and there enjoy regal pleasures. But the reward for their works comes to an end, and they return to the world of death. They follow the word of the three Vedas, they crave fleeting pleasures, and truly obtain them. But those who worship me with pure unity of soul, those who are in constant harmony, they do not gain increase, and I give them what they do not have. Even those who from faith worship other gods, also worship me, albeit not correctly, for I accept every sacrifice. I am the Supreme Lord, yet they do not know my pure being, and because of that they fall. For those who worship the gods go to the gods, and those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship the lower spirits go to the lower spirits. But those who worship me come to me, to whom whoever offers to me with devotion, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or even a little water, I accept it from their longing soul, for it was offered to me with love and a pure heart. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer in worship, let it be an offering to me, and by renouncing attachment with your soul unified, you will be liberated and will come to me. For I am the same to all, and my love is always the same. But those who worship me with devotion, they are in me, and I am in them. For even if the greatest sinner worships me with all their soul, they shall be counted among the righteous. For righteous is their will, and they shall soon become pure and attain everlasting peace. For in this promise I put my word, whoever loves me shall not perish. For whoever comes to me seeking refuge, no matter how weak, humble, or sinful they may be, whether they are women, beasts, or Sudras, all of them reach the supreme path. Therefore, always and at all times, be in devotion or fasting. There is a reward that comes from the Vedas, or from the sacrifice, derived from a life of austerity or from sacred gifts. But a much higher reward is attained by the devotee who knows the truth of light and darkness. They reach their lasting home. Chapter 10. The Glories of the Lord. Krishna says, "Listen once again, Arjuna, as I reveal to you the glory of my word. I speak truthfully for your benefit, for your heart finds its joy in me. Neither the legions of gods nor the great seers of the earth know my birth, for all the gods come from me, as do the great seers. He who knows me without beginning, unborn, the Lord of all worlds, that mortal is free from deceit, free from all evil. Intelligence, spiritual vision, victory over deceptive illusion, patient forgiveness, truth, self-harmony, inner peace, sorrow and joy, being and non-being, fear and fearlessness, gentleness and non-violence, constant calmness, contentment, simple austerity, generosity, honor and dishonor. These are the qualities of mortal beings, and all of them arise from me." The 7 prophets, seers of ancient times, as well as the 4 founders of the human race, being in me, emanated from my mind, and thus was born this world of men. He who knows my glory and power possesses the unchanging harmony of unity. This is my truth. I am the One, the origin of everything. The evolution of everything proceeds from me. Thus think the wise, and they worship me in the worship of love. Their thoughts are centered on me, their life is in me, and they enlighten each other continuously, proclaiming my glory. They find peace and joy in being always in harmony and worshipping me with all their love. I give them the yoga of vision, and they come to me guided by my compassion. I dwell in their hearts and dispel the darkness of ignorance with the light of the lamp of wisdom. Thus speaks the Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Light and the Supreme Purification, the Eternal Divine Spirit, God from the beginning, the omnipresent Lord of all. So proclaim all the prophets and seers, the Divine Seer. Thus is Baladeva, this is Vasudeva, and this is you. Now you also reveal them. I have faith in all your words, for they are words of truth, and neither the gods of heaven nor the demons of hell can comprehend your infinite vastness. Only your spirit knows the spirit. Only you know yourself, the source of being in all beings, God of gods, ruler of all. Speak to me in your goodness of your divine glory, in which you are always, and with you all worlds. How do they know you even while remaining in continuous meditation, and under what manifestation shall I think of you, O my Lord? Describe to me again in detail your power and your glory, for I never tire of hearing your word of life. Krishna says, "Listen, and I will reveal to you some of the manifestations of my divine glory, only the most evident ones, for my infinite greatness has no end. I am the soul, the victorious prince who dwells in the heart of all things. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all that lives. Among the sons of light I am Vishnu, and among the luminaries I am the radiant sun. I am the lord of winds and storms, and among the lights of the night I am the moon. Of the Vedas I am the Veda of chants, and I am Indra, chief of the gods. Beyond the senses of man I am the mind, and in all living beings I am the light of consciousness. Among the dreaded powers I am the god of destruction, and among the monsters I am Vritra, the serpent. Lord of wealth, I am the fire of radiant spirits, and among the mountains I am the Himalayas. Among the prophets and seers I am Vyasa, and among words I am the eternal word. Of prayers I am the prayer of silence, and of all immovable things I am the Himalaya. Among trees I am the tree of life, and of heavenly musicians I am Chitraratha. Among seers of the earth I am Kapila, and among horses I am the horse of Indra. Of elephants I am Airavata, and among men I am their monarch. Of weapons I am the thunderbolt, and among cows I am the cow of plenty. Among creators I am the creator of love, and among serpents I am Ananta. Among serpents of mystery I am Ananta, and of beings born of water I am Varuna, the lord of spirits. Of ancestors I am Aryaman, and among rulers I am Yama, the lord of spirits. The death of demons I am their prince of transition, and of all means of calculation I am time. Among beasts I am their king, and among birds I am Garuda, the mount of a god. Among the purifying elements I am the wind, and among warriors I am Rama, the supreme hero. Among the fishes of the sea I am Makara, the wondrous, and among rivers I am the sacred Ganges. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all that is. Among all forms of knowledge I am the knowledge of the soul. Among the many paths of reason I am the one that leads to truth. Of sounds I am the first, the letter A. Of compounds I am the dual. I am time, the endless time. I am the all-seeing creator, the death that takes all, and the origin of all that comes. Among feminine names I am fame and prosperity, word, memory and intelligence, perseverance, and patient forgiveness. Among all the hymns of the Vedas I am the Brihatsama, and among poetic meters I am the Gayatri. Of months I am Margasirsa, the first of the year, and of seasons I am the flower-bearing spring. I am the sharpness of the gambler's dice, and the beauty of all that is beautiful. I am victory and the struggle for victory. I am the goodness of the good, the son of Kunti, and among the sons of Pandu I am Arjuna. Among the silent seers I am Vyasa, and among poets I am Usana. I am the scepter of rulers, the policy of those seeking victory, the silence of the hidden mysteries, and the knowledge of the knowledgeable. Know also that I am the seed of all that is, and that no moving or unmoving being can ever be without me. My divine greatness has no end. What I have shown you here is only a small part of my infinity. Know that all that is beautiful and good, all that possesses glory and power, is but a portion of my splendor. Yet what use is it for you to know this diversity? Know that with just a fraction of my being, I penetrate and sustain the universe. Chapter 11. Revelation of the Divine Vision. The chapter says, "In your goodness you have revealed to me the supreme secret of your spirit, and your words have dispelled my delusion. I have heard you speak in detail about the coming and going of beings and of your infinite greatness. I have heard your words of truth, but my soul yearns to see you, to behold you in the form of the God of all. If you think it possible for me to see, show me, O God of Yoga, the glory of your own supreme being." Krishna says, "Behold by hundreds, by thousands, the multitude of celestial images in innumerable forms and colors. Behold the gods of the sun, of fire, of light, the gods of lightning and storm, as well as the two luminous charioteers of the sky. Behold, O descendant of Bharata, wonders never seen before. Now see the entire universe with all that is movable and immovable, and all that your soul desires to see. See how all this is one in me. But you cannot see me with those mortal eyes of yours. I give you the divine vision. Behold my portent and my glory." Sanjaya says, Having spoken thus, O King, Krishna, the god of yoga, revealed himself to Arjuna in his supreme divine form. Under that form, Arjuna beheld countless visions of wonders, eyes coming from innumerable faces, a multitude of celestial ornaments, an innumerable number of divine weapons, celestial garlands and garments, figures anointed with heavenly perfumes. The infinite divinity was looking everywhere, encompassing all wonders. If suddenly the light of 1,000 suns were to burst forth in the sky, such splendor might be comparable to the radiance of the Supreme Spirit. And Arjuna saw in that radiance the whole universe in all its variety, constituting a vast unity in the body of the God of gods. Trembling with awe and wonder, Arjuna bowed his head, and joining his hands in adoration, thus spoke to his God. In you, O my God, I see all the gods as well as the infinity of beings of your creation. I see the god Brahma on his lotus throne, and all the prophets and the serpents of light. I behold everywhere your infinity, the power of your innumerable arms, the visions proceeding from your countless eyes, the words that spring from your incalculable mouths, and the fire of your countless bodies. And nowhere do I see your beginning, your middle, or your end, O God of all, O infinite form. I see the splendor of an infinite beauty that illuminates the entire universe. It is you with your crown, your scepter, and your discus. How difficult you are to see, yet I see you as fire, as the blinding sun, as ungraspable. You are the imperishable, the highest goal of knowledge, the support of this vast universe, the eternal ruler of law and justice, the spirit that is and was at the beginning. I see you without beginning, middle, or end. I behold your infinite power, the power of your innumerable arms. I see your eyes as the sun and the moon, and I see your face as a sacred fire that gives light and life to the entire universe. In the splendor of a vast offering, the heaven and the earth and all the infinite spaces are filled with your spirit. And before the marvel of your fearsome majesty, the three worlds tremble. The hosts of your gods come to you, and joining the palms of their hands in awe and wonder, they praise and adore you. The sages and the saints come to you, praising you with songs of glory. The Rudras of destruction, the Vyasas of fire, the sages of prayers, the Adityas of the sun, the Visvedevas or lesser gods, the twin charioteers of the sky, the Maruts of winds and storms, the Sadyas spirits of the ancestors, the celestial choirs of Gandharvas, the Yakshas keepers of abundance, the demons of hell, and the Siddhas on earth attain perfection. All of them admire you in awe and wonder. But the worlds also behold your fearsome and powerful form, furnished with a multitude of mouths and eyes, navels, thighs, and feet, terrifying with dreadful teeth. They tremble with fear, and I too tremble. O vast form reaching the sky, burning with a profusion of colors, with great mouths open, with immense fiery eyes, my heart trembles with terror. I lose my strength and my calm. O Grishnu, like the fire at the end of times that sets everything ablaze on the last day, I see your immense mouths and your terrifying teeth. Where am I? Where can I take refuge? Have mercy on me, God of gods, supreme shelter of the world. Here come the sons of Dhritarashtra, along with other princes of the earth. Bhishma, Drona, and the great Karna, as well as the bravest warriors of our host, plunge into your jaws bristling with terrifying fangs. Some get caught between them and their heads are crushed. Like torrents of rushing waters eager to reach the ocean, these heroes of our mortal world are swallowed by your flaming jaws, like moths to a flame, rushing to their own destruction. The flames of your mouths devour all the worlds. Your fiery glow engulfs the entire universe, but how terrifying your radiance burns. Reveal yourself to me, who you are under this dreadful form, and I worship you, O Supreme God. Grant me your grace. I long to know you, who have existed since the beginning, for I do not understand your mysterious works. Krishna says, I am Time, the mighty destroyer of all, and I have come here to kill these men. Even if you do not fight, all the warriors facing you will die. Therefore rise up, achieve your glory, conquer your enemies, and enjoy your kingdom. By the fate of their karma, I have destined them to die. Be merely the instrument of my action. Bhishma, Drona, Jayadratha, Karna, and other heroic warriors in this great war have already been killed by me. Do not tremble, fight, and you will defeat your enemies in battle. Sanjaya says, when Arjuna heard Krishna's words, with trembling hands and a faltering voice, bowing in adoration, he spoke, "Rightly, O God, do people sing your praises, rejoicing and delighting in you. All the spirits of evil flee in terror, and the legions of saints bow down before you. How could they not bow in loving adoration, O God of gods, Supreme Spirit, Creator of Brahma, the God of creation? You are infinite, eternal, the refuge of the world. You are everything that is and everything that is not, everything that is beyond. You are God from the beginning, God to man since man was. You are the supreme treasure of this immense universe, the one to be known and the knower, the ultimate place of rest. You are the infinite presence in which all things are, God of the winds and waters, of fire and death, Lord of the solitary moon, Creator, progenitor of all, worship to you by the thousands, worship to you 1,000 times and once more, worship to you who are before me and behind me, worship to you who are everywhere, God of all, omnipotent God of immeasurable power. You are the consummation of everything, you are everything. And if out of carelessness, presumption, or even familiarity I have exclaimed, Krishna, son of Yadu, my friend, unaware of your greatness, and if in my reverence I have shown disrespect, whether alone or in front of others, making you the object of jokes in games during rest or at festivities, forgive me in your goodness. O you, immeasurable Father of all, Supreme Master, exalted power of all worlds, who is like you? Who is above you? Before you I bow and prostrate in worship, and ask for your grace, glorious Lord, like a father with his son, like a friend with his friend. Like the lover with their beloved, make me partake of your grace, O God. I am left trembling in a vision of what no man has seen before. I am exultant with joy, yet my heart, frightened, seeks refuge in you, O refuge of the entire universe. Show me again the human form that you possess. I long to see you again with your crown, scepter, and discus. Show me again in your four-armed form, or the one where you now display infinite arms or infinite form. Krishna says, by my grace and mighty power, I have revealed to you this supreme form made of light, which is the infinite, the all. My own form from the beginning, never before seen by man, nor by the Vedas, sacrifices, study, beneficence, rituals, nor fearful austerities can procure the vision of my supreme form. Only you have seen my form. You, the greatest of gurus, have beheld the tremendous form of my greatness. But fear not, be not troubled. Free from fear and with a joyful heart, behold again my friendly form. Sanjaya says, thus spoke Arjuna to his God, you have revealed yourself in your human form, the God of all. You have embraced my fears and shown yourself in your peaceful form. Krishna returned to his own nature, and my heart finds peace. Krishna says, now you have seen face to face my divine form, so difficult to behold. For even the gods of heaven desire to see what you have seen. Neither by the Vedas, nor by austerity, nor by charity, nor by ritual offerings can I be seen as you have seen me. Only through love can men see and know me, and come to me. Chapter 12, Yoga of Devotion. Krishna says, among those who worship me as the immanent God in everything, and those who worship the transcendent, the imperishable, who are the better yogis. Krishna says, those who, fixing their hearts on me, show continuous loving devotion and unwavering faith, I consider them to be the best yogis. But those who worship the imperishable, the infinite, the transcendent, the manifest, the omnipresent, that which is above all thought, the immutable and the unchangeable, who keep all the potentialities of their soul in harmony and present a loving mind towards all, who delight in the welfare of all beings, they indeed attain to my deepest being. The difficulty is greater for those whose minds are fixed on the transcendent, for the path of the transcendent is hard to attain for mortals. But those for whom I am the ultimate goal, who surrender their actions to me and meditate on me with pure love and worship me, I am soon their deliverer from the ocean of death and the cycle of life and death, for they have installed their hearts in me. Therefore, install your heart only in me and give me your understanding. You shall indeed live in me hereafter. But if you are unable to fix your mind on me, then seek to reach me through the practice of concentration yoga. And if you cannot practice concentration, then devote yourself to me by consecrating all your actions to me. By merely performing actions in my service, you shall attain perfection. And even if you are incapable of that, take refuge in devotion to me and surrender the fruits of your actions with the selfless devotion of a humble heart. For concentration is better than mere practice, meditation better than concentration, but superior to meditation is selfless devotion to the fruits of one's actions, for from devotion comes peace. The man who shows goodwill to all, who is gentle and compassionate, who does not think of the self or the mine, who finds the same peace in pleasure as in pain, and is ever willing to forgive, that yogi in union, always joyful, whose soul is in harmony and whose determination is strong, whose mind and inner vision are installed in me. That man loves me and is dear to me, who is undisturbed by others, and in whom other beings find peace, who is above agitation, anger, and fear. He is dear to me, who is free from vain hopes, who is pure, who is wise and knows what to do, who observes both sides from inner peace and is not disturbed, who acts for God and not for himself. That man loves me and is dear to me, who knows neither enthusiasm nor aversion, who does not complain and does not covet, who is beyond good and evil and who has love. He is dear to me, whose love is the same for his friends as for his enemies, whose soul is the same in honor or ignominy, who is beyond cold or heat, pleasure or pain, who is free from the chains of attachments, who shows balance in both reproach and praise, whose soul is stirred but happy with what he has, whose home is not in this world and who possesses love. But dearer to me are those who have faith and love, and who consider me as their ultimate goal, those who listen to my words of truth and approach the waters of everlasting life. Chapter 13. Knowledge Field and the Knower. Krishna says, "This body, Arjuna, is called the field. He who knows it is called the knower of the field. Know that I am the knower of the field in all fields of my creation, and that the wisdom which sees the field and the knower of the field is true wisdom. Listen briefly from me what the field is, how it is, what its changes are, and from where each one comes, who the knower is, and what his power is." This has been sung by the prophets and seers of the Vedas, in multiple musical verses, and with great words about Brahman, words of faith filled with truth. The five elements, the ego, consciousness, the subconscious, the five powers of sense and the five of action, the mind that governs them, the five fields of sensory perception, desire, aversion, pleasure, pain, the power of mental unification, intelligence and valor. This is the field and its modifications. Humility, sincerity, non-violence, forgiveness, integrity, emotional mastery, purity, steadfastness, self-harmony, freedom from the cravings of the senses, absence of self-thought, perfection of the sorrows of birth, death, old age, illness, suffering, freedom from the chains of attachment, even from attachment to one's own children, wife or home, a constant equanimity of mind in the face of pleasant or unpleasant events, a single unity of pure love that never strays from me in withdrawing to solitary places and avoiding noisy crowds, a constant longing to know the inner spirit and a vision of truth that gives liberation. This is the true wisdom that leads to vision. Everything that is against this is ignorance. Now I will speak to you of the end of wisdom. When a man knows this, he goes beyond death. He is Brahman without beginning, supreme beyond what is and beyond what is not. His hands and feet are everywhere. He possesses heads and mouths everywhere. He sees everything, hears everything. He is in everything, and is the light of consciousness. Infinite powers of perception come to him, but he is above these powers. He is beyond everything. Yet the sustainer of everything, he is beyond the world of matter, yet finds joy in this world. He is invisible, cannot be seen, is far and near, moves and does not move. He is within everything and outside of everything. He is one in everything, but appears as if he were many, the support of all beings. From him proceeds destruction, and from him proceeds creation. He is the light of all lights that shine beyond all darkness. He is vision, the end of vision attainable through vision, and resides in the heart of all. I have briefly told you what the field is, what wisdom is, and what the end of man's vision is. When a man knows this, he penetrates into my being, knowing that nature and spirit have no beginning and that the temporal changes and conditions all come from nature. Nature is the origin of all material things, the maker, the means of making, and the made things. Spirit is the origin of all consciousness that feels pleasure and feels pain. The spirit of man, as it finds itself in nature, fills its changeable conditions and binds itself to changeable things. A good or bad destiny envelops it through life and death. But the supreme spirit within man is above destiny. He observes, blesses, endures all, feels all. He is called the Supreme Lord and the Supreme Soul. He who truly knows this spirit and knows nature with its changeable conditions is where he will no longer be enveloped by destiny. Some, through the yoga of meditation and through the grace of the Spirit, see the Spirit in themselves. Some, through the yoga of seeing the truth, and others through the yoga of action. But there are those who, without coming to know it, hear others speak of it and worship it. They too cross beyond death because of their devotion to the words of truth. Know, Arjuna, that all that is born, whether moving or still, proceeds from the union of the field and the knower of the field. He who sees that the Lord of all is always the same in all that is immortal in the field of mortality sees the truth. When a man sees that the God he has within him is the same God that is in all that is, he does not harm himself by harming others. Then he is truly on the highest path. He who sees that all action, wherever it may be, is only the action of nature and spirit, observes this action, sees the truth. When a man sees that the infinity of different beings resides in the One and is an evolution of the One, then he becomes one with Brahman without beginning and free from changing conditions. The Supreme Spirit is imperishable, though in the body's action is not his, and he is free from the imperfection of all action. Just as a single sun illuminates all things in this world, so too does the Lord of the field illuminate all his field. Those with the eye of inner vision perceive the distinction between the field and the knower of the field, and see the liberation of the spirit from matter. They enter into the Supreme. Chapter 14. The Three Gunas. Again, Krishna says, I will reveal to you the supreme wisdom, the highest of all wisdoms. The wise who have known it have attained from it the highest perfection. Having taken refuge in this wisdom, they have become part of me. They are not born again at the time of creation, and are not destroyed at the time of dissolution. In the vastness of my nature, I place the seed of things to come, and from this union arises the birth of all beings. Know, O son of Kunti, that my nature is the mother of all beings that are born, and I am the father who gave them life. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas are the three constituents of nature. They appear to limit in finite bodies the freedom of his infinite spirit. Of these, Sattva saves, gives light and health in life. Rajas kills earthly happiness and lower knowledge. Tamas, born of ignorance, clouds the soul of every man, binds it to laziness, sleep, and delusion, so that it does not show itself to be vigilant or industrious. Sometimes Sattva can prevail over Rajas, and Tamas over Sattva, and Rajas over Tamas, and sometimes that which prevails over Rajas and Tamas, when the light of wisdom shines from the threshold of the bodily abode. Then we know that the soul predominates greed, busy activity, undertaking many enterprises, restlessness, and the craving of desire. All of these arise when Rajas increases. Darkness, inertia, negligence, deceit, all of these appear when Tamas predominates. If the soul meets death when Sattva predominates, it then proceeds to the pure regions of those who seek truth. If a man meets death in a state of Rajas, he is reborn among those bound by their frenzied activity. If he dies in Tamas, he is reborn in the womb of the irrational. Every work, when well performed, carries the pure harmony of Sattva. But when executed in Rajas, it brings pain, and when carried out in Tamas, it brings ignorance. From Sattva arises wisdom, from Rajas arises greed, From tamas arise negligence, deceit, and ignorance. Those who are in sattva ascend the path that leads upwards. Those who are in rajas follow the level path. Those who are in tamas sink downwards on the lower path. When the man of vision perceives that the powers of nature are the sole actors in this vast drama, and contemplates that which is beyond the powers of nature, then he penetrates into my being. And when he goes beyond the three conditions of nature that make up his mortal body, then, free from birth, old age, death, and sorrow, he penetrates into immortality. Arjuna asks, how is the man known who has gone beyond the three qualities? What is his path, and how does he transcend the three? Krishna replies, he who neither shuns the light nor restless activity, nor even darkness when they are near, and who also does not desire them when they are far. He who, undisturbed by the conditions, remains steadfast and sits apart and observes, saying, the powers of nature revolve, remaining firm and unchanged. He who dwells in his inner being and remains identical in pleasure and in pain, for whom gold, stones, or earth are one and the same thing, and who is at peace with what is pleasurable as well as what is unpleasant, who is beyond praise and blame, and whose mind remains steady and tranquil, who is the same in honor and dishonor, and feels the same love for enemies as for friends, who abandons all selfish undertakings. Such a man has gone beyond the three qualities, and he who, with tireless love, worships me and acts for me, rising above the three qualities, can become one with Brahman the One. For I am the dwelling place of Brahman, the endless source of eternal life. The law of righteousness is my law, and my joy is infinite. Chapter 15, The Lord and His Devotee. Krishna says, there is a tree, the tree of transmigration, the everlasting tree Asvatha. Its roots are above in the heights, and its branches below. Its leaves are sacred chants, and he who knows them knows the Vedas. Its branches extend from earth to heaven, and the powers of nature give them life. Its buds are the pleasures of the senses, much lower down, its roots spread within the world of men, binding mortals with selfish actions. Men do not see the changing form of this tree, nor its beginning, nor its end, nor where its roots are. But the wise man with the powerful sword of detachment cuts down this tree with strong roots and seeks the path from which those who go never return. Such a man can say, I am directed to take refuge in that eternal spirit from which the course of creation sprang at first. For the man of pure vision, without pride or deceit, freed from the chains of attachment, with his soul ever rooted in his inner spirit, devoid of all selfish desire, free from the two opposites that we call pain and pleasure, he goes to the abode of eternity. There the sun does not shine, nor does the moon give light, nor does fire burn, for the light of my glory is there. Those who reach that abode never return. A spark of my eternal spirit becomes in this world a living soul, and this draws around its center the five senses and the mind which rest in nature. When the Lord of the body arrives, as well as when he departs and continues his journey, he takes them with him, like the wind that carries aromas far from its resting place, and he watches the mind and its senses, hearing, sight, touch, taste, and smell, and his consciousness enjoys the world of these. When he departs, or when he remains to enjoy life with the powers of his nature, those who are in delusion do not see him, but he who possesses the eye of wisdom sees him. Those who seek and strive for union see him weeping in their own hearts, but those who are impure and lack wisdom, no matter how hard they try, never see him. The radiance of the light that proceeds from the sun and illuminates the entire universe, the gentle light of the moon, the brightness of fire, know that all of them come from me. I enter the earth, and with life-giving love sustain all that is upon it, and I become the fragrance and the flavor of the sacred soma plant. I become the life-giving fire that is in everything that breathes, and in union with the air that enters and exits, I burn and digest the four kinds of food. I am lodged in the heart of everything. With me there is memory and knowledge, and without me they depart. I am the knower and the knowledge of the Vedas, as well as the creator of suffering. In Vedanta there are two types of spirits in this universe, the perishable and the imperishable, The perishable one shapes or forms all things of creation. The imperishable is that which does not move, exists in, but another superior spirit is called the Supreme Spirit. He is the God of eternity, who penetrates everything, sustaining all, for I am beyond the perishable and even beyond the imperishable. In this world and in the Vedas, I am designated as the Supreme Spirit. He who with clear vision sees me as the Supreme Spirit knows all that needs to be known and worships me with all his soul. I have revealed to you, O Bharata, the most secret of doctrines, and in this you have seen the light and fulfilled your purpose in this world. Chapter 16. The Divine and the Demonic. Krishna says, fearlessness, purity of heart, steadfastness in sacred learning and contemplation, generosity, self-restraint, self-sacrifice, worship, study of scriptures, austerity, uprightness, non-violence, truthfulness, absence of anger, renunciation, serenity, aversion to slander, compassion for all beings, tranquility amidst desire and greed, gentleness, modesty, firmness, energy, forgiveness, strength of spirit, purity, goodwill, absence of pride. These are the treasures of the man born for heaven. The deceitful nature, arrogance and conceit, anger, harshness and ignorance, these traits belong to a man born for hell. The virtues of heaven lead to liberation, but the sins of hell form the chains of the soul. Do not grieve, O Arjuna, for heaven is your final destination. There are two types of natures in this world. One is heavenly and the other is hellish. The celestial nature has been explained. Now learn about the evil of hell. The wicked do not know what is to be done or what is not to be done. Purity does not reside in their hearts, nor does good conduct or truth. They declare that this world has no truth, no moral foundation, no God. There is no law of creation. Nothing but carnal desire is the cause of birth. Firmly attached to this belief, these men of dead souls, certainly of little intelligence, undertake their evil work. They are the enemies of this beautiful world and work for its destruction. Tormented in their souls by insatiable desires and filled with deceit, arrogance and pride, they cling to their dark ideas and carry out their impure labor. Thus they are plagued by countless worries that last a long time throughout their lives, until they die. Their highest goal is sensual enjoyment, and they firmly believe that this is all there is. They are bound by hundreds of vain hopes. Anger and lust are their refuge, and they strive by crooked means to amass fortune to satisfy their own desires. I have gained this today. I will satisfy this desire. This wealth is mine, and that will be mine too. I have killed such and such enemy, and there are others I will kill. I am a lord. I enjoy life. I am successful, powerful and happy. I am rich and of noble birth. Who is there to equal me? I will perform sacrifices. I will make offerings, and I will indulge in pleasures. In this way, they express themselves, immersed in the darkness of their deceit, deluded by many erroneous thoughts, caught in the net of deception. Chained to the pleasures of their desires, they dwell in a detestable hell, in their arrogant vanity, intoxicated with the pride of their riches. They offer their closed sacrifices with ostentation against divine law, bound by selfishness and arrogance, by violence, anger, and lust. These wicked men hate me. They hate me within themselves and in others. In the vast cycles of life and death, I inexorably cast them into destruction. To these cruel and evil men whose soul is all idleness, reborn each time in life more ignoble, birth after birth amidst darkness, they do not come to me, although these are the three gates of this hell: the death of the soul, the gate of lust, the gate of anger, and the gate of greed. Let man avoid these three. When a man is free from these three gates of darkness, he does what is good for his soul and then enters the supreme path. But the man who rejects the word of the scriptures and follows the impulse of desire neither attains his perfection, nor the bliss, nor the supreme guidance. Let the scriptures then be your authority to decide what is right and what is not. Know the word of the scriptures and fulfill in this life the task you have to perform. Chapter 17. The Three Classes of Faith. Krishna says, there is a condition of those who renounce the law of the scriptures but offer sacrifices with full faith. This is of three kinds, of light, of fire, or of darkness. Krishna says, the faith of men born of their nature is of three kinds, of light, of fire, and of darkness. Now listen about the faith of a man. It is in accordance with his nature. What he suffers from, that is his faith also. Men of light worship the gods of light. Men of fire worship the gods of power and wealth. Men of darkness worship ghosts and spirits of the night. There are selfish and false men who, guided by their passions and desires, inflict terrible penances not prescribed by the sacred books. They are fools who torture the powers of life within their bodies, as well as me who dwells within them. Know that their minds are impure, dark. Now learn about the three types of food, the three types of sacrifice, the three classes of harmony, and the three classes of offerings. Pure men enjoy pure foods, those that bring health, mental power, strength, and long life, which are tasty, soothing, and nourishing. They delight the heart of man. Men of passion and desire like Rajasika foods, sour, bitter, salty, and dry, which bring heaviness, disease, and pain. Men of darkness eat stale, tasteless, rotten, or day-old impure foods, unfit for offering. A sacrifice is pure when it is an offering of worship in harmony with divine law, without expectations of reward, and the heart says, "It is my duty." However, a sacrifice made with a view to reward or a desire for glory is an impure Rajasika sacrifice, and a sacrifice made against divine law, without faith, without sacred acts, without food offerings, and without due offering, is a sacrifice of darkness. Reverence for the gods of light, for the twice-born, for the instructors of the Spirit, and for the wise, as well as purity, righteousness, chastity, and non-violence. In that lies the harmony of the body, the words that give peace, those that are good, beautiful, and true, as well as the readings of the sacred books. In that lies the harmony of words, the serenity of the mind, the silence, the harmony within oneself, the kindness, sweetness, as well as a pure heart. In that lies the harmony of the mind. This triple harmony is considered pure when practiced with supreme faith, without any desire for reward and in unity of soul. However, false penance performed to gain reputation, honor, and consideration is impure. It belongs to Rajas and is unstable and uncertain. When self-control becomes self-torture due to mental weakness or when its purpose is to harm another, then self-control belongs to darkness. A pure gift is one given from the heart to the right person at the right time and in the right place, and when nothing is expected in return. But when given expecting something in return or with a view to future reward, or when given grudgingly, the gift is rajas and impure, and the gift given to the wrong person, at the wrong time, and in the wrong place, or a gift that does not come from the heart and is given with proud disdain, is a gift of darkness. Each of these words is an expression of Brahman, from whom originally came the Brahmins, the Vedas, and the sacrifice. Therefore it is with the expression Om that lovers of Brahman begin every action of sacrifice, gift, or personal harmonization performed according to the scriptures, and with the expression and renunciation of all reward. That same action of sacrifice, gift, or personal harmonization is done by those aspiring to infinite freedom. It represents what is good and true. Thus, when an action is performed correctly, the end of that action is sattva. The perseverance in sacrifice, gift, or personal harmonization is thus all consecrated to Brahman. Furthermore, action performed without faith is found to be nothing. Sacrifice, gift, or personal harmonization made without faith is nothing, both in this world and in the world to come. Chapter 18, Liberation. Arjuna says, "Tell me, Krishna, about the essence of renunciation and the essence of abandonment." Krishna says, "We call renunciation the renunciation of selfish acts. What we called abandonment is, on the other hand, the surrender of the fruit of all action. Some assert that there should be renunciation of action in general, because action disturbs contemplation. However, others affirm that one should not renounce the actions of sacrifice, offering, and personal harmonization. Now hear my truth about the abandonment of actions. Listen, O best of the Bharatas, abandonment or fasting is of three kinds. The acts of sacrifice, offering, and personal harmonization should not be abandoned. They must be performed because they are acts of purification. However, even these acts or arts must be performed with the freedom of a pure offering and without expecting reward. This is my last word. It is not right to leave undone the sacred work that must be done. Such abandonment would constitute a deceit typical of darkness. The abandonment of one who abandons his duty out of fear of physical suffering is rajasika, impure, and truly lacks reward. But the action of one who performs the divine work or fasts because it must be done and abandons all selfishness and all thought of reward, that action is pure. He is at peace. That man sees and has no doubts. He abandons, he is pure and has peace. The action, whether pleasant or painful, is for the cause of joy, for there is no man on earth who can fully renounce living action. But he who renounces the fruits of his action is truly a man of renunciation. When the action is carried out to receive a reward, the action provides pleasure or pain or both, or more. When a man performs his action in eternity, then eternity is his reward. Now learn from me the 5 causes of all secondary actions, wisdom in which lies the end of all action, the body, the lower self, the means of perception, the means of action, and fate. These are the 5. Whatever a man does, whether good or bad, in thought, word, or deed, has its origin in these 5 causes. If one thinks that his infinite spirit performs the finite actions executed by nature, he is a man of clouded vision who does not see the truth. One who is free from the chains of selfishness and whose mind is free from any ill will, though he may slay all these warriors, he slays them not, and therefore is free. The idea of action consists of a knowing subject, a knowledge or action of knowing, and a known object. The idea of action also consists of a doing subject, an act of doing, and a thing done. The science of the gunas asserts that the action of knowing, the doing subject, and the thing done are of 3 kinds according to their qualities. Listen well about these 3. When one sees eternity in ephemeral things and the infinite in finite things, then he possesses pure knowledge. But if one simply sees the diversity of things with their divisions and limitations, then the knowledge he possesses is impure. And if one selfishly sees one thing as if it were the whole independently of the one and the many, then he is in the darkness of ignorance. When action is performed as sacred action without selfishness, with the mind at peace, without hatred or greed, without desire for reward, then the action is pure. However, when action is performed with selfish desire, or feeling it as an effort, or thinking it is a sacrifice, then the action is rajasic. And the action that is done with a confused mind, without considering the possible consequences, or one's own capacity, or the harm inflicted on others, or one's own losses, that is an action of darkness. A man free from the chains of selfish attachments, free from his lower self, possessing determination and perseverance, and whose inner peace is beyond victory or defeat, such a man possesses the purity of sattva. But a man who is a slave to his passions, who acts with selfish motives, is greedy, violent, and impure, and who is affected by pleasure and pain. He is an impure man of rajas, and a man lacking self-harmony, judgmental, arrogant, deceitful, malevolent, lazy, pessimistic, and procrastinating. He is a man of darkness, of tamas. Now listen fully and in detail about the triple division of wisdom and firmness according to the 3 gunas. There is a wisdom that knows when to go and when to return, what must be done and what must not be done, what is fear and what is courage, what is bondage and what is liberation. That is pure wisdom. Impure wisdom does not have a clear vision of what is right and wrong, what must be done and what must not be done. And there is wisdom obscured in darkness when one thinks that what is wrong is right, and when one thinks that things are what they are not. When in the yoga of holy contemplation the movements of the mind and the life breath are in peaceful harmony, then there is firmness, and that firmness is pure. However, firmness that, with desire for reward, clings to wealth, to pleasure, and even to religious ritual, is a rajasic wealth. And firmness, by which the fool does not abandon laziness, fear, self-pity, depression, and greed, is truly firmness of darkness. Learn now, O you best of the Bharatas, about the three kinds of pleasure. There is the pleasure of following the right path that leads to the end of all pain. What at first appears as a cup of pain is discovered in the end as a wine. That pleasure is pure. It is the joy that arises from a clear vision of the spirit. But the pleasure that comes from the cravings of the senses toward objects of desire, which at first seems sweet of life, but in the end turns into a cup of poison, that is impure pleasure of passion. And that pleasure which, both at first and at the end, is only a deception to the soul, and that comes from the slothful sleep, laziness, or neglect, that is pleasure of darkness. There is nothing on earth or in heaven that is free from these three powers of nature. The activities of the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Shudras are different in harmony with the three powers of nature with which they are born. The activities of a Brahmin are peace, self-harmony, austerity and purity, benevolence and righteousness, vision, wisdom, and faith. These are the activities of a patriot, a heroic mind, the inner fire, steadfastness, determination, valor in battle, generosity and noble leadership. Trade, agriculture and livestock rearing constitute the activities of a merchant. Service, on the other hand, is the activity of a servant. All of them attain perfection when they find joy in their activity. Learn therefore how a man attains perfection and finds bliss in his action. A man reaches perfection when his action is worship of God, from whom all proceeds and who is in all. Greater is your own action, however humble, than the action of another, even though it be of importance. When a man performs the action assigned to him by God, no sin affects him. Therefore, a man should not abandon his action even though he cannot fully accomplish it. For in every action there may be imperfection, just as in every fire there is also smoke. When a man possesses his reason unattached and his soul is in harmony above desires, then renunciation leads him to a supreme region beyond earthly action. Learn now how he attains that. He will attain the sublime vision of light when reason's vision is clear and the soul is established in steadfastness and harmony, when the world of sound and the other senses have disappeared and the spirit has risen above passion and hatred, when a man dwells in the solitude of silence and meditation and contemplation accompany him at all times, when excess of food does not harm his health, and his thoughts, words, and body are at peace, when liberation from passion is his constant desire, and his selfishness, violence, and pride have vanished, when there is no longer greed, anger, or lust, and the man is free from the thought of mine, then that man has risen above the mountain of the highest. He is worthy to be one with Brahman, with God. He is one with God, and his soul is at peace beyond sorrow and desire. His love is one toward all creation, and his love for me is supreme. Through love he truly recognizes who I am, and when he truly knows me, he enters into my being. In every action he finds refuge in me, attaining then by my grace the imperishable home of eternity. Offer me in your heart all your actions, as the end of your love, and take refuge in the yoga of reason, forever installing your soul in me. For if your soul rests in me, it will overcome all dangers by my grace. But if your thoughts are centered on yourself, and you do not heed my words, nor face the battle of life because, driven by selfishness, you fear the combat, your resolution is vain. Nature will force you, for you are under the bondage of karma, the forces of your own past life. What you in your delusion and led by good will do not wish to do, you will have to do by force. God dwells in the hearts of all beings. Offer to your God dwell in your heart, and his miraculous power moves all things like shadow puppets, turning them forward in the river of time. Go to him with all your being, and find your salvation, Bharata. By his grace you will attain supreme peace. I have given you words of vision and wisdom, more secret than the most intimate of mysteries. Meditate on them in the silence of your soul, and then act freely according to your will. But listen to my final word, the secret arcane of silence. Because you are my beloved, I will speak to you words of salvation. Surrender your mind, surrender your heart and your sacrifice, and worship to me. I give you my word. Truly you will come to me, for you are pleasing to me. Leave everything behind and come to me for your salvation. I will deliver you from the bondage of sins. Fear no more. These things shall never be told to one lacking self-discipline or love, or who prefers not to hear or argues against me. But he who teaches this hidden doctrine to those who feel love for me, experiencing in turn a supreme love, he indeed will come to me. For among men there is none who performs for me a higher action, nor is there on earth any man who is dearer to me than he. He who learns in contemplation the sacred words of this, our discourse, worships me through the light of his vision. That is my truth. And he who only listens but has faith and does not doubt, he also attains liberation and the blissful worlds of righteous men. You have heard these words, O Partha. From communion silent with your soul, has dispelled your inner light the delusion in which you found yourself. By my grace and recalled my light, thereby dispelling my delusion, I have no doubts, firm is my faith, and I can say now that your will be done, says Sanjaya. Such glorious words today between you and the God of all filled my soul with wonder and amazement. By the grace of the poet Vyasa, I heard these words of hidden silence today, the mystery of the yoga taught by the Master Krishna in person. My king, to my memory again and again, the words of sacred prodigy between Krishna and Arjuna, and my soul exults with joy. And when evoking that glorious vision of the God of all, time after time, joy fills my soul. May this Krishna be the end of yoga, and wherever he may be, if an archer exists in beauty and victory, joy and righteousness, this is my faith.